Hi guys, Blake here with Lilleys Landing Resort and Marina on beautiful Upper Lake Taneycomo. It is Tuesday, June the 16th. This is the one cast. Today I've got my buddy Dustin with me. He's standing in the back of the boat. I guess he's a little camera shy. We've pulled all the way up here to the cable at the dam. They were running about 4 units of water a little bit ago before I got in. And it looks like they've shut it all the way down to 1 unit is my guess. I haven't looked at my phone. But the water actually was dropping out on us as we pulled up here. Seeing quite a bit of fish activity on top of the water now. We'll see if they're biting. Today I'm going to start off throwing Signature Series 110 plus 1 Ghost Shad. And Dustin is throwing a 3/32 ounce Sculpin on Sculpin jig on 4-pound test. I'm throwing mine on 8-pound test, and we're gonna get started. I'll probably wind up, you already got one? I think Dustin just missed one. This south side corner is a good spot right up here against the cable for a variety of species. When the fish come in over the top of the dam, there's a big eddy right up there, and so this first section of the south side is a spot where those warm water species that don't like a lot of current will stop and hang out at, such as walleye, smallmouth, spotted bass, crappie. I've even caught some bigger sunfish up here. I didn't work today. Today was one of my days off. Came in to just fish for a couple hours in the evening here. So I didn't get to talk to anybody today about fishing reports, and didn't hear from any of the guides. Phil told me before I left the dock that he had gotten some reports from people throughout the day that fishing had been somewhat slow, which is to be expected whenever they are messing with the water like they have today, because I know that for a portion of the day today the water was actually off, and then they kicked it up to 4 units, and I don't know what they're planning on doing with it. I can see one generator running over there right now, but they might be planning on turning it all the way back off again tonight. So whenever the flows get switched around in such a drastic way, it usually does affect the fish bite, typically negatively. I was actually hoping that the water was still going to be running that at the 4 units, so we could get out here and drag some jerk baits, but it is definitely running a little too slow for that. I'm pretty sure a lot of these fish we're seeing up here right now are hitting midges, so that might not be. You can turn the drag up on that a little bit. That might not be a bad choice if you were fishing in these conditions right now. If I don't get a bite on this bait here soon, I think I'm going to switch over to one of the 606s. It's one of the jerk baits that Dwayne and I paint, that he found a couple of years ago, that work really well when the water is in lower conditions. So I might switch over and try one of those here soon. let's see, 2 nights ago, well, I've been out night fishing almost every night of the week for the last, well, my last week, maybe even a little bit more. The night fishing with these low water conditions with the 1 unit and the half units and the no units has been really good. We've been using small jerk baits. Actually, one of the models we sell in the shop, the 762. I've been using the Signature Series. We sell the Signature Series up there, and we also sell the 762 painted up by the company that makes that model of bait. So we have different options, but that 762 at night has been working really well in these low water conditions. Dwayne was up here 2 nights ago with Jack Roy Harris. They were out here throwing the 762 Signature Series, and they said that they caught a fish almost every cast for 3 hours over here on the south side where we're at right now. I think they were out from like 9 to midnight. I was actually out here close to when they left, and I caught, oop, there was one. I caught some fish as well throwing the 762. This ghost shad color I'm throwing typically works best whenever there's sunshine and clear water. So that's why I started off with that. The conditions are low enough up here that once I had to know my channels to even get up here, because there were definitely some low water areas as we were pulling up. But now that we pulled up here, I've raised the motor out of the water just to make sure that that we don't drag into anything on our way out here. I'm gonna switch over to a 606 and see if I have any better luck on that. Come on, lure. There we go. So this is the 606 model, same color. It's the ghost shad. And we also have some 606 model baits up in the shop that aren't the Signature Series. So they're just different paint jobs. You get the same action out of them. And these baits only dive up to 5 feet. It's a little different than working that 110. Once again, I'm using a rod that was designed by Dwayne and Mike Riffle for getting the action on this bait, and Mike was the one who built it. But the difference is you don't need those big, long, hard jerks. This one is just really small pops, you know, and you still want to do 4 or 5 or 6 pops and then a little 2-second pause or so. But it doesn't have that bill to make it go side to side on it, and if you pop it too hard, you actually render the action of the bait. So this one, you really want a bunch of light pops. Oh, there was a hit. The length on this rod is, I believe, 5.5 foot. Makes it a little easier for working it down when you're using a spin cast setup. It's got a medium, a little heavier than a medium backbone, and it's got a fast action tip on it as well. Right now we're coming over some water that probably isn't any more than 3 foot deep or so. So in that case, on a bait that dives 5 foot, I'm going to drag the bottom if I do downward jerking motions. So now that I'm over some really shallow water, I'm actually going to pull the rod up. Same pattern when it comes to jerking it, but I'm gonna jerk up on the rod to keep the bait from dragging the bottom too hard. And Dustin, when you're working that jig over this water that's this shallow, you can work it quite a bit faster, or else you're just dragging the bottom. If I don't have any luck on this here soon, I think I'll switch over to, in this type of water condition with low wind, I think I could get away with even a 1/32 ounce jig, but I don't think I have my 1/32 ounce jigs with me. So I'll probably go to a 1/16 ounce jig. Working the smaller jerkbait is the same as I was explaining the other night about the big one. If you're specifically wanting to target brown trout, you still don't want to leave very much of a pause in it at all. But if you're just looking to target whatever will bite, you still want to leave that 2 or 3 second pause between your action. I'm going to try this for just a couple more casts, and then I'm going to switch over to a 1/16 ounce jig. There's certainly a lot of surface action from these fish going on right now. If I had the gear with me to do it, this would be a perfect time for a scud under a fly rod. I've been reading a lot of people having success the last few days throwing the mega worm. But to me, this is just one of those perfect flows for a fly under an indicator just drifting along. And one more cast with the jerkbait, and then I'm gonna switch to a jig. We're setting over about 2 foot of water now. Just saw a dead gizzard shad on the bottom. Probably came in the last time the floodgates were open. And yeah, I'm just not having very much success on this tonight, so I'm gonna switch over. I did hear the other day when I was working on the dock that we had some guys come back in and said that anything sculpin, so all sculpin, sculpin peach, sculpin ginger, they said that anything that was a sculpin combo that they threw at the fish was working really well. And they reported catching quite a few fish. I'm going to switch over to a sculpin and peach with a sculpin head 1/16 ounce and see how I do. Like I said, with no wind blowing and the water this shallow, I could really get away with a 1/32 ounce, and it might even be the best option. But this is what I got, so I'm gonna have to make it work. Okay, so got that 1/16 ounce sculpin and peach. Right now we are kind of directly across from rebar hole. Great spot when the water's low. Just a great spot in general. But I know whenever the water's off, you'll see quite a few fly fishermen lined up over here fishing inside a rebar hole, and they're usually hooked up quite a bit.